density?
Yeah, you need a very high building density. If you have a lot of land on the ground, it doesn't make a lot of sense, to build upwards. But if you have a really dense city like New York or even Philadelphia, it can make sense. You also need very strong buildings, so you need a solid building stock. A lot of industrial buildings are good, actually. And you need people and a culture that really supports it and embraces it, because it's kind of a funky idea, but some people in some cities are really open to it.
And when you see them, when you see pictures of them, it's beautiful.
It's
astonishing.
Really spectacular places.
Have you been? You must have been to some.
Yes, yeah, I have. I've been traveling around the country, actually visiting rooftop farms and interviewing farmers and designers. So I've been getting a pretty good feel for row farms and also hydroponic farms. And I am planning some more trips for this year.
Any in particular that you were struck like, wow, this is...
I think my favorite so far is Eagle Street Rooftop Farm. And there's a photo that I took of it in the Grid article. And if anyone is ever in Brooklyn or Greenpoint, I really suggest that you go up there. They have open visitation days. Maybe some of you have already been, but it's really, really spectacular, and the people there are really nice.
That's amazing. So you mentioned skepticism before, to get back to that. I mean, what is it like when you approach, how do you frame it when you approach a business owner or someone who owns property on a roof, and you say, we want to put a green roof on your building? What reaction usually do you get, and how do you kind of get over that reaction?
Well, at this point in time, it's really interesting because during the past few weeks, we've had a lot of business owners and building owners really approach us asking for rooftop farms. So I'm not sure what's in the water right now, but I've been playing with this idea for many years now, and for some reason, the past few weeks, we've had all these people contacting us. So there's definitely a proactive approach and a reactive approach. So right now, we seem to be pretty reactive, where people come to us with their vision, and then we try to help them make it a reality.
Are people asking you, like, just landscape it, like sedum and things like that, like ornament, or are people actually wanting food production?
People are wanting food production now, and of course the green roofs, the regular, sedum and more intensive systems are something that we at Roofmeadow have been doing for a long time. But the agriculture piece is kind of new for us, and I think it's going to be big.
I wonder too, when you think about what the city, what the water department is doing, that they're charging more and more for stormwater management, that it would be a huge win if some of these industries could turn what's really difficult for the business into something that would be a great asset for the community.
Yes, absolutely. So rooftop farms do manage stormwater, and they also have a lot of added value. So there's the community building aspect, they're feeding people, they're helping out with nutrition. There are a lot of different benefits to rooftop farms that sort of overlap with green roofs and also overlap with regular urban ground level farms. So they're sort of, I like to view them as kind of in between the two in terms of benefits.
And we had brought up before, and we were talking at the beginning of the show, and we had talked about this as, that idea of the food web and how it contributes to the food web. And where do you see rooftop agriculture fitting into all that?
I think that it's going to be a really important piece of the food web as more and more people move to the city and farmland continues to disappear. I think that people are always going to need to eat, and it's best for a lot of reasons to produce food as close to the people as possible. So rooftop agriculture is not going to take over the urban food web. It's going to be a very key piece of it. And I think that it's important to diversify the urban food web as much as possible, because when you increase the diversity, you increase the resilience of the system.
And it seems like, from speaking from an urban farming standpoint, where a lot of my work is dependent on working with communities or education, bringing that added value, because selling vegetables isn't really going to cut it. It doesn't really make a private venture. A lot of people are looking out for that. It seems like there are people sometimes who just want to just grow food and not have to think about those other things, but you can't do that when you need to show that added value on the land. And it seems like this is a solution for something a little bit more of a private venture, and that it can be just based on food production.
Yeah, there are rooftop farms that exist in the country that are community-based, and there are others that are private ventures. There's one up in New York City, a big greenhouse operation that produces a lot of the greens for Whole Foods in New York City. So that particular farm is trying to figure out right now if the whole system is viable from an purely economic perspective. So, just like anything else, a lot of people do rooftop farming for different reasons, and it's really diverse and wonderful to see what's out there.
When we talked earlier, we talked about the fact that Chicago has had a ton of green roofs put in, but they've had some problems with it. Why is that?
of a lack of maintenance, and also the types of systems they use aren't always the best systems to use. So in Germany, what they use is a contiguous built-in place green roof. And what a lot of the roofs in Chicago are actually trays. So there are these sort of units, these green roof units that all kind of line up together. Yeah, and what that does is it makes it really hard for there to be a contiguous flow of water and microbes and root growth. So at Roofmeadow, we like to see these sort of built-in place, really smooth systems. And for rooftop agriculture, a lot of times the same is preferable.
And a lot of your travels were based also on that you are writing a book right now.
I'm writing a book right now.
You're writing several books.
Several books.
3 books right now.
3 books, volumes of what are to be one of the first, pretty much the first books on urban rooftop farming.
That's right.
Can you explain some of that?
Sure. So the book series is called Eat Up. It's a little fun. It's where you
I get it.
And so the full title of the series is Eat Up, the Inside Scoop on Rooftop Agriculture. And each volume of the series targets a different audience. So we've sort of alluded in this conversation to how different people are interested in agriculture for different reasons. And sort of following that line of reasoning, the first volume deals more with sort of home gardening and do-it-yourself. So if you want to grow a couple tomato plants on your roof, that's the book that you would buy. The second volume takes it up a notch in scale, and it's really targeted towards restaurateurs and entrepreneurs. And so it brings in the commercial aspect of rooftop agriculture and also the marketing aspect. And then the third volume targets really policymakers and planners and architects. And that has a real citywide approach. So that basically asks the question, can you feed people? Can you feed the masses through rooftop agriculture?
So did you grow up growing food on the ground? Were you a gardener and then
Yeah, my family always had a vegetable garden growing up. And I have a veggie garden now. I live out in Mount Airy, and so I garden behind my house.
Is there ever a time that you climbed on the roof when you were 7 years old and just started planting things and your mom let you?
I know.
nothing we could have guessed back then?
No, but I actually do get to spend a lot of time on roofs now with my current job. So a lot of my job is construction oversight. So I'm actually out on site watching green roofs get built. So the perspective of the book is really that of a practitioner, so someone who knows the nuts and bolts, and who's been in the field and seen what's out there and met the people.
So what do you think? Do you think Philly is going to overtake New York at some point and be the rooftop
So
ag?
I don't want to move to New York.
You don't want to move to New York? That's a lot of people are in Philadelphia. Yes. Well, thank you very much for this interview. Thank you.